Welcome to the channel. Please subscribe if you like stories about the ancient world. This is the Atacama Desert, the driest place on planet Earth. In some parts, rain has not fallen for centuries. It's a landscape that seems to actively repel life, a vast, sun-scorched monument to scarcity and extinction. And yet, right here, on this seemingly hostile edge, a people known as the Chinchorro not only survived, but thrived for millennia. They built no great cities, they left no written records, but they achieved something astonishing. They conquered this desert. And they did it not by fighting the emptiness of the sands, but by embracing the immense riches of the Pacific Ocean. This is the story of how the Chinchorro turned the wasteland into a home, and in doing so, laid the foundation for the world's first mummies. The Chinchorro's secret was a fundamental shift in perspective. They were not a desert culture in the traditional sense. They were a maritime civilization. Their world was defined not by the dunes at their back, but by the Humboldt Current at their feet. This cold, nutrient-rich current, flowing up from the Antarctic, transforms the coastal waters of the Atacama into one of the most productive marine ecosystems on the planet, a veritable supermarket of the sea. Their survival was a masterpiece of specialized technology, honed over thousands of years. Imagine their tools, which we have found in astonishing abundance. Harpoons and spears, their primary weapons for hunting large prey. They crafted sophisticated harpoons with detachable heads made from sharpened bone or shell, tied to long lines. This allowed them to hunt massive sea lions, a source of not only meat but also incredibly durable skin, which, as we know, was crucial for their mummification practices. Fishing nets and lines. They wove nets from plant fibers and used grooved stones as weights to sink them. They understood the patterns of fish schools and could harvest huge amounts of anchovies, sardines, and other small fish in one go. This was not a hand-to-mouth existence. The ocean provided a stable, abundant, and predictable food source. This caloric surplus is a critical piece of the puzzle. A society constantly on the brink of starvation does not have the time, energy, or mental space to develop a practice as complex and time-consuming as artificial mummification. The ocean gave the Chinchorro the most precious resource of all: time for culture. But to call them simply fishermen would be an oversimplification. The Chinchorro were brilliant strategic generalists. They understood that the desert, while harsh, was not entirely barren. They exploited its resources with a fine-tuned precision. Their diet was diverse and cleverly supplemented. Coastal gathering. The rocky shores were a pantry. They harvested vast quantities of shellfish, mussels, clams, and especially the loco, Concholepis concholepis. Midden heaps, giant piles of discarded shells that tower over the landscape even today, are a testament to the scale of their consumption. Hunter of the littoral. They hunted marine birds and collected their eggs. They also took advantage of lizards and other small terrestrial animals that lived in the rare, fertile valleys, known as quebradas, where seasonal rivers reached the sea. These quebradas were vital, providing fresh water, driftwood for tools and fuel, and reeds for building their huts and, possibly, rafts. This diversified approach was their insurance policy. A bad day at sea could be compensated by gathering on the shore. This deep, intimate knowledge of their entire ecosystem, from the deep ocean to the dry ravines, allowed them to build a resilient and stable society. They were not victims of their environment. They were its masterful interpreters, reading the signs of the sea and the desert with the skill of a master scholar reading a sacred text. This stable, resource-rich lifestyle had profound social and spiritual consequences. When you are not fighting for your next meal, social structures can become more complex. The Chinchorro lived in small, semi-sedentary communities. They built semi-subterranean circular huts to protect themselves from the relentless wind. The hunt for a sea lion was not a solitary act. It was a communal endeavor requiring coordination and shared risk. The subsequent distribution of this massive amount of meat and fat would have reinforced social bonds and reciprocity. This cooperative lifestyle fostered a strong sense of community and egalitarianism, which we see reflected in their most famous practice, the democratic mummification of all members of society. Everything was connected. The sea lion they hunted provided food for the community, bones for their harpoon points, skin for the eternal suit of their mummies. The ocean was not just a source of physical sustenance, it was the source of their spiritual materials. Their entire worldview, their life, death, and afterlife, was intrinsically linked to this symbiotic relationship with the maritime environment. The durability of the sea lion's skin in this world may have symbolized a desired durability for the soul in the next. Their survival strategy directly funded and inspired their spiritual revolution. So, the story of the Chinchorro is a story of brilliant adaptation. They looked upon the driest desert on earth and saw not a prison, but a doorway to the richest ocean in the world. They mastered this interface between the barren and the bountiful, creating a sustainable way of life that endured for longer than most modern civilizations. Their survival was the foundation upon which everything else was built. The caloric surplus from the ocean gave them time. The stability of their society gave them reason. And the intimate, daily confrontation with the cycle of life and death in their environment, the dead whale on the beach, the harvested shellfish, the hunted sea lion, gave them the spiritual impetus to ask the big questions and to answer them in the most profound way imaginable. The Chinchorro teach us that true innovation is not about conquering nature, but about learning to speak its language. They were the ultimate ecologists, the original survivalists, and the world's first philosophers of the coast. The echo of their nets splashing into the water of the Humboldt Current is a sound that, if you listen closely, can still be heard in the wind of the Atacama today. What do you think is the most impressive aspect of their adaptation? Their technology, their social structure, or their deep ecological wisdom? Share your thoughts below. If this deep dive into the daily life of the world's first mummy makers fascinated you, please support our channel. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more journeys to the roots of human culture.